I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Your eyes can deceive you. Don't trust them.
The Force will be with you. Always.
What's up, guys? Hello to everyone who is listening to us live on YouTube right now, and welcome to another episode of Galaxy United. Before we get started, allow us to introduce ourselves. My name is Trevor. You may know me as Trevor the Sith on Twitter, and I'm joined today by Olivia at Sith Lord Olive and Justin at CSI KFC. Let's get going with today's show.
What's up, everybody? Olivia here. Today, we will be discussing the rumored return of Ben Solo, and we will also be discussing our top 5 favorite Star Wars characters. We will have 30 minutes of main topic discussion, and this will be followed by open discussion for the final 30 minutes of the episode.
So the benefit to using YouTube live streaming is the chat, so be sure to send in any questions you guys have, and we'll make sure to get to them before the show ends. So with that said, let's start off with our first topic of the day, which I'm very, very excited for, and that's the rumored possibility of some future Ben Solo content. So this was scooped by our friends over at Kessel Run Transmissions, Corey and Noah. And yeah, let's get into it. So you guys know me, you know I love me some Ben Solo. Now, pretty much all we know about this rumor is that it's just Ben Solo content, right? So we don't know when it's going to take place. It could be before The Force Awakens. It could be after The Rise of Skywalker. All we know that it's some kind of Ben Solo content is in production at Lucasfilm. And again, that is just a rumor. But when I saw this news, I was freaking out. I was very excited. Ben is my favorite character. I'll be happy with whatever Ben content we're going to get.
Yeah.
Now, I do have a preference of when this is going to take place, and we'll all share what we think. So what do you guys think about this?
I mean, I think that if there's really any character that deserves just any more screen time than what we've already gotten, it's Ben Solo. I think he's one of the best Star Wars characters and one of the most interesting. And I think diving into something before The Force Awakens, before he becomes Kylo Ren, is something that I personally would love to see. I think that he is a very three-dimensional character that can be explored in really any time period of his existence, honestly. He's just awesome. Just great character. I mean, like, he's not far off from his dad. Really really awesome character there too. So yeah, I would love to see that. I would love to see what happens what happens with him and the Jedi Order, and what happens with him and his parents, his relationship with his parents and stuff, would be very, very interesting. So yeah, it just really anything I'd be cool with.
Same, honestly, and when you think about it, I mean, I know lots of people are skeptical, like, if he returns, but I'm just like, it's Star Wars. Anything can happen. Like,
Exactly.
in each new movie, something different happens. Like, there's a new concept that we're not aware of, that we haven't been aware of before. So I think that it could definitely be possible, and it will make a lot of fans happy, and it would just be all around great Star Wars content.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm a bit skeptical of pre The Force Awakens content, even though I'll be happy with whatever we get, just because we've seen it already in the Rise of Kylo Ren comic series, which
Sure.
You guys should, if you haven't read, definitely try and read it. It's really good and goes into Ben's fall to the dark side. Again, if they want to adapt that into an animated show, live action, whatever they want to do, again, I'm going to enjoy it. But I think my preference is definitely something after The Rise of Skywalker. Just because, it's fresh. He's not dead, which, that'll make me very happy. But it's also sort of fresh content where we have no idea what the Star Wars world looks like after The Rise of Skywalker. So, having some content after The Rise of Skywalker could be really cool, and it'll bring back my favorite character, which I would love.
Yeah, that's fair. I think there's definitely a lot of fans that weren't exactly happy that Ben Solo's story was cut so short, and
Yeah.
yeah, I mean the potential of such a great character. I mean personally, I was fine. Obviously, we'll get into our top five characters later, but you know, he is one of my favorite characters, and that's without
Spoiler.
that's yeah, that's without anything post Rise of Skywalker or anything, you know, other than what we've already seen. And
Right.
I just think that for me, like he did have a complete story, but either way, I would love to see him before or after the sequels. I mean, you could even do in between if you wanted to. I'd be fine with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would actually be pretty good because I remember when I watched The Rise of Skywalker for the first time, and you see him, um, and I was fine with it. And then when I watched it again for the first time, like after the cinema, I was so sad. I cried. I could not believe that they had killed him off. But then I started thinking more about it, and it made more sense to me. But now, I'm almost like it would just be so great to bring him back because,
Yeah.
I mean, with we've gotten such little content with him, but he's already one of the best Star Wars characters. So imagine if we got more content, that would just make him incredible. So that's what I
Yeah.
think about it.
Yeah. After the Rise of Skywalker is definitely my preference. I mean, there's so many directions you can go. Um, he's just such a fantastic character, and it could be an animated. I don't know if Adam Driver wants to come back. If it's animated in the style of season 7 Clone Wars, that'll be
Gosh.
that could be fantastic.
great. Or
But
even just like Galaxy of Adventures animation. That's pretty
yeah,
cool.
that could look great too.
Yeah.
And people, I wasn't that happy with his death. I felt it was kind of just unnecessary. I didn't think he had to sort of die like Anakin did necessarily, but
Yeah.
I was fine with it. But I think bringing back could be great. They bring back Darth Maul, who got sliced in half and then
Yeah.
fell down a reactor shaft. Anything can happen.
Yeah, it's Star Wars. Anything can
Exactly.
happen. I wouldn't for a second like be I wouldn't be like skeptical of that decision or anything to bring it back. Like, it's Star Wars. Like we've had a bunch of people return from the dead, and that's fine with me as long
Like
as
Ahsoka.
they make it somewhat make sense. Yeah. So yeah, Ahsoka
Right.
too. Like almost same situation.
Exactly. I mean, they probably planned it out, but I
Yeah.
mean, we don't know what goes on in Lucasfilm. We don't know. I mean, they just give us little, pieces of content every now and then to keep us on our toes or like to keep us interested. It's not like they probably have a lot of things planned out, but who knows?
Yeah, you know how they are. We don't know anything that's going on.
True. That's very true.
Yeah, Mandalorian season 2 comes out in a month, and what do we have? A logo, and we only got that because of one reason, and we'll
Oh,
talk
yeah.
about that later.
Yeah. But speaking of the Mandalorian logo, that is in my opinion a pretty big upgrade from the previous one, especially with the blue.
Oh yeah, it was beautiful. Like I saw it, and I'm sure you guys did the same thing. You zoomed in on every single letter, and you're like, oh, just like we're just like trying to get anything we can. Like we're just begging for scraps at this point for this show. I'm so hyped. But anyways, yeah, Ben Solo.
Yeah.
But no, what characters would you like to see if they did an animated Ben Solo show? And let's say pre TFA.
Yeah.
Well, pre-TFA, well, it just depends how far they want to go into the comic series of like a straight up adaptation or, expand on it. You're going to have Snoke in there.
True.
Snoke was huge in the comic series. Just you see the
Yep.
manipulation. You're also going to need Ben's Jedi friends at Luke's temple. They were also huge in his fall. I'm trying to not spoil anything for those who haven't read it, but
Yeah.
again, pre-TFA it would be great content. There's
Yeah.
a lot you can do there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that they would we would probably get some more Luke Skywalker, which would be uh pretty interesting to see Luke like really, coming towards the end of his prime of being a Jedi Master. So I think that would be pretty interesting to explore. Um, and just anything with Han and Leia would be cool.
Yeah, and
See,
also it would
yeah.
just be great to see Luke train Ben. I mean, in like live action or animated. I mean, that would that that would be some of the best Star Wars content ever because everything we got from the sequels, it's just, flashbacks.
Yeah.
Like we need it would so it would also be really great to have pre TFA and maybe like you could also because of the whole dyad force between Ray and Ben, you like that picture that circulates once a month was from the comic
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
Ray's like, "Did you feel that? It's cold." If you know what I'm talking about.
Hmm.
So that would that would be pretty interesting. So I
Yeah.
think they could do
And
that.
another thing from the comic series, there's a great fight between uh Luke and Ren and the Knights of Ren, and that would be great to see in animation
Yeah.
or
That's very
whatever
true.
whatever format they might choose to bring this in.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, either way, I really hope that this does happen. I'm sure it will. I really trust Corey and Noah for sure.
Yeah.
I do definitely think we will be getting more Ben Solo content. He is a fan favorite character. He is, he's a favorite character of, lots of this fan base. And for him to go out the way he did, and, I just feel like there's a lot of his story that was unexplored, at least in, uh, like media, like movies and shows. Like,
Yeah.
I think that there's definitely more to explore, and for the casual fan base too. But yeah,
Exactly. I was just about to say that.
Disney Plus, they can make that happen very easily. So yeah, I'm super hyped for that. I'm super hyped for that. It'll work no matter what they do. I'm sure they have an idea of pretty much exactly what time period they want to do it for, and whether or not it's going to be live action or animated, whatever. I'm 90% sure it's going to be animated, but there's always a chance. Like
Yeah.
there's always a chance that it could be live action, and if it was, I would lose my mind.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I would. I don't know if I'd be able to walk after that. I mean, my body would just be in shock especially if it would be after Rise of Skywalker and Adam's back. I mean, I don't know what I'd do with myself. I don't know what I'd
I
do.
really I can't imagine. Like the Rebel sequel series and the Ryan Johnson trilogy, they're up there for my most anticipated Star Wars content. But man, like you announce a live action Ben Solo post Tross live
Trust.
action
My mind.
series, like
I would literally lose my mind.
I
I
yeah,
mean,
that would be that would be pretty high up
Star
there
Wars
for me.
Twitter, Star Wars Twitter would literally break down for a day if that happened. If we got
Yeah.
that information, people would be running wild in the street.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
it'd be
This
insane.
is Ben Solo.
and I hope that Lucasfilm knows that. I hope they understand how much like we love this character and we would love to see this, because I feel like we want to get away from the Skywalker saga, but at the same time, like there are just some things that we would love to see, and I think that Ben Solo is that guy that you do make a series about and expand on his story, because he just has so much potential,
Yeah.
especially when you have an absolute gem like Adam Driver.
Yeah, you don't. I don't. You don't kill off a guy like Adam Driver. I mean, he's just too talented of an actor to end that character. Um, I mean,
Yeah.
again, his death is fine. I mean, I'm upset with it just because I find it unnecessary. I mean, again, you got to read the comic series if you haven't, but
Yeah.
Ben was literally, you know, tormented by the dark side since birth. So, he's finally free of that at the end of The Rise of Skywalker, and then he's just taken away from us so quickly. So there's so much you can do with the character. I'll be happy with whatever content we get, but I do have a preference for after Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
That's very true. Well, speaking of Ben Solo, let's move on to our top 5 favorite Star Wars characters, because I know it's probably on most of our lists. So, Trevor, why don't you start?
Is it now?
Oh, okay. So basically the way we're going to be doing this is, a lot of you watching, you know who our favorite characters are, our number ones. Like, you can literally just look at our screen right now and you have 2 out of the 3. So basically we're going to start with number 1 and we're going to go to number 5. We'll all give our number 1 characters, talk about it for a little bit, and then we'll do 2, 3, whatever. All right. So this is going to be pretty fun because if I'm being honest with you, I don't know their favorite characters that well after 1. Like, I know they've posted it a couple times, but at least Justin. But this should be pretty fun. But if you guys know me, you know that my favorite character in all of Star Wars is hands down Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker. I
had no idea.
I just think that there isn't a fictional character that has ever been more more well done and completed, I guess you could say, than Anakin Skywalker. I feel that we got, from his beginning to end, and we don't need to see anything else. I would love to see more Anakin. I would love to see more Vader, especially, Hayden Christensen. But we don't need it because he has such a full and complete story, and he's my favorite fictional character ever. So, Anakin Skywalker.
You love
Too
him.
easy. Too easy.
All right, so my number 1, very hard to guess. There's no hint anywhere at who it is. But it's gonna be probably Ben Solo.
What?
And that,
No
and he has
way.
been my.
There's no
crazy.
way. That's nuts, man.
He has been my favorite character since I was sitting down in that theater in 2015. We saw a question asked by someone earlier, and we'll go into it. But I mean, The Force Awakens just, again, it reignited that love I had for Star Wars, and seeing Kylo Ren turn out to be the son of Han Solo, who was my previous favorite character, is just so amazing. And I have so many personal ties to this character that I can't really get into on this live stream right now, but Star Wars just runs in my family. My dad is like a Han Solo stan practically, so it's fitting that I love Ben so much. Yeah. Yeah, and plus how can you not like Adam Driver? So it's got to be Ben Solo.
He's amazing. Yeah, definitely definitely boosts that role for me for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean, you can't imagine anyone else playing Kylo Ren Ben Solo. I mean, it's just,
I can't.
it's not possible. Who?
Yeah.
Like, who? Adam Driver.
Casting.
That's
Perfect.
So
it.
good.
Well, my number 1 favorite character is.
Wait, let me guess. Let me guess.
Yeah, I guess.
Jar Jar Binks?
How did you know? That's crazy. Wow. Yeah, I love Jar Jar Binks because... No, I'm just kidding. My favorite character is obviously Rey Skywalker for a lot of reasons. And also, one of the main things is, just like Justin, The Force Awakens was the first Star Wars, was one of the first Star Wars movies I watched in the cinema. And when I saw Rey on the screen, just her whole introduction, I was just like, yeah, this is a character I'm gonna fall in love with. This character is relatable, this character is kind, this character is interesting, this character is mysterious. And despite what a lot of people say, I personally think she has a good, what should you call it, character development arc when you...
Yeah.
Because with what we're given, I mean, you can't change what we have with the 3 movies. So you got to work with what you have. You know, you can't just throw it away and just, oh no, she has no character arc. Because if you look at it, each specific movie, she goes from a scavenger alone on Jakku to literally saving the entire universe, the entire galaxy, and having found a family, which is the Skywalker family and all her friends. So I think she's just one of the best Star Wars characters.
Yeah.
I could write a whole essay about it.
I would love to see a whole essay written about it, actually. You should just do a Twitter thread. I would love to see that.
That's true.
That would be great. You could go on and on about that, and
Maybe
honestly,
I'm
would love
already
that.
working on it.
Oh yeah, and before we continue, you guys should drop your top 5 favorite characters because we're interested in that too. I'm sure.
No, we're not. I'm just kidding.
I'm sure we all
I'm
have
just kidding.
somewhat similar lists, right? I mean, except that Luke Skywalker isn't even top 10 for me, but yeah. So basically, let's get into number 2. All right. So this is where things will be fun. But I think it's gonna get really fun around like 4 and 5. I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
I think we might have some interesting picks. But number 2 for me is gonna be.
We don't know.
Oh.
We don't know each other's. We haven't discussed who our favorite, so it's also like a surprise to us.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
Kind of.
So number 2 for me is going to be Ben Solo. Yeah, I mean Ben Solo pretty much. He wasn't even near my top 5 before The Rise of Skywalker, but The Rise of Skywalker really cemented how great of a character he was for me. I just loved everything about him in that movie. I wasn't 100% on board with his death, but I was fine with it. I wish it would have been maybe a little bit more emotional. But that scene with him and Han, it's one of my favorite Star Wars scenes. It just is. Just the parallel to The Force Awakens. It's just so perfectly done, and yeah, coming from a person who just said that Anakin Skywalker is my favorite Star Wars character, I'm so glad that wasn't Anakin Skywalker and that was
for sure.
Han Solo. So
I can write a whole essay about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. So yeah, that's number 2 for me. Yeah, that's pretty straightforward. We just talked about Ben Solo quite a bit, so I'll let you guys go.
Yeah. So my number 2 is going to be the other half of the dyad. So my number 2 is going to be Rey.
Nice.
And for a lot of the same reasons that Olivia listed, there's just something about the purity of Rey's character, just such a kind character, really.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something I feel like wasn't a character like hers. I feel like wasn't seen in Star Wars. Where, I mean, you have Luke, obviously, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Just watching it, the sequel trilogy through her eyes, just kind of fascinated me for some reason.
True.
And Daisy Ridley's great, obviously. So Rey
yeah.
is my number 2.
Yeah,
Dub.
she's definitely one of those characters that you strive to be like. You want to be like Rey. She's a symbol of hope and optimism, and like you said,
Exactly.
purity. So yeah, no, definitely
And also,
understandable.
one of the things I love about her is that you finally have, because in the originals you have Princess Leia, but Luke is probably more the center of the story because he's the Jedi, and in the prequels you have Padme. You know, and if you're just a casual fan, you don't really watch the Clone Wars or Rebels, you don't really know about Ahsoka or Sabine. You know what I mean? So with the sequels, you have the female lead, and it's an inspiration to so many people, like especially girls and also boys.
Yeah.
Like who's watching it, and that's just amazing, and that's what Star Wars is about, you know.
Yep.
So that's
Star
why
Wars
I
is
love
for
her.
everyone.
Yeah, one more, I guess what I meant by seeing it through her eyes, because she's walking into this world that, she didn't even know was real with these legends like Luke Skywalker. So seeing, The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, it was just, just fascinating storytelling. So that secures Rey at my number 2 spot.
Yeah.
Well, my number 2 is Ahsoka Tano,
Hey.
and because okay, so I only started watching the Clone Wars this year, and at first I had no idea who Ahsoka was. I was like, who is this? So, but after, especially after season 7 and Rebels, she just became one of my favorite characters, especially also for the reasons I said for why Rey is my favorite character. I mean, she's cool, she's kind, she's compassionate. She's just such a well-developed character. She goes from this whiny little Padawan to becoming one of the greatest Jedi ever, or not Jedi, should we say, but
Yeah.
one of
Right,
the
right.
greatest Star Wars characters ever, and that's just amazing. So that's my number 2.
Yep.
Yeah.
She's a great character. Definitely made her a much better character for me in Rebels. I loved her in the Clone Wars. She was my favorite original character from the Clone Wars. So got to give her that. But yeah, Rebels like really put her higher on my list. She's a great character. And you can really tell that they planned her character out properly. Really, really good stuff. And we have a lot more Ahsoka content coming in the future. Like, definitely. So yeah, number 3 for me is going to be my favorite Jedi of all time, Kanan Jarrus. I think that Kanan Jarrus is another one of the most well-developed characters in Star Wars, and not only that, but I think that he's the most unique Jedi. I think that we see a side of the Jedi that we really hadn't seen before, where obviously he's an Order 66 survivor pretty much, and he pretty much he wasn't ready to be a master for Ezra, and Ezra ends up becoming such an important part in the rebellion, and and pretty much saving the galaxy, and that all goes to Kanan, and Kanan was learning with Ezra as they went on. Like, Kanan didn't know what he was doing, and everything with him and Bendu and all of the stuff that he went through, going blind and everything. Spoilers. I'm sorry, but Rebels has been out for a while now.
Yeah.
Rebels has been out for a while now, so if you haven't seen it, you probably should. And I'm about to give a spoiler right now, so just come back in 30 seconds if you haven't watched Rebels. But Kanan Jarrus easily has the most emotional Star Wars death I have ever seen before. It's just so perfectly done with Hera and Ezra right there, and it's just it's very hard to watch, but it's just done so well, and the animation is so beautiful too. It's honestly some of my favorite animation ever right there, and the music and the way the episode ends, like, it's just so perfectly done. I love Kanan Jarrus, and
it's a good pick.
I definitely I don't need to see anything else from him. I think we got a complete story from him, and
for sure.
he'll always be one of my
it.
favorites. Yeah, he'll always be one of my favorite characters. So yeah.
Kanan's a good pick. I like that a lot. I like that at 3. That's really cool. My number 3 is gonna be Han Solo, my favorite scruffy-looking nerf herder. Han is just great. I mean, again, you can't not like Harrison Ford, and the character of Han Solo is just amazing. And there's a great little stat, right? It's that Han Solo doesn't show up until like 43 minutes into A New Hope.
Yeah.
And that's something that's kind of
Really?
fascinates me.
Yeah.
I don't know why. And again,
That actually
he's the
is
smuggler, Han shot first. There's just so many cool moments with the Han character, the Millennium Falcon. It's just great. Han and Chewie, Solo. I love Solo.
Yeah.
So yeah, Han Solo has got to be number 3. And Han was my favorite character before Kylo Ren.
That's fair.
And he's also very personal to me. Again, Star Wars is a very personal thing,
Yeah.
and it's huge in my family. So, my dad being a big Han Solo guy, that sort of bled off onto me. So yeah, Han Solo at 3.
Yeah.
That's a good pick.
Yeah, and what you said about Solo, Solo definitely cemented Han as one of my favorite characters because Alden Ehrenreich was able, sometimes people doubted it because they were like, is Han Solo only a good character because of Harrison Ford? And
Right.
I didn't think so. I was like, Han Solo, he's just such a great character because he's just got, he's got kind of that, he's kind of got that swag to him, and like his romance with Leia and everything. He's such a good character, and he's so charming. Like, just you just kind of smile like every time he smiles in Empire, and it's
Yeah.
great. And he's just such a great character, and I was like, man, are they gonna be able to pull this off with Alden Ehrenreich? And I was like, oh, yep.
And they did.
Han Solo is just he's
they
just
did.
a great character. He's just a really good character because he's so different from any other Star Wars character we've seen. He's not like a normal bounty hunter character. He's he's and smuggler. Like he's so different, and I love it so much. But yeah.
I agree. And well, my number 3 is probably a bit surprising to a lot of people, but it's actually Darth Maul.
Woo!
And yeah, and because lots of people see my profile picture, they see me on Twitter talking about the sequels, and they assume that I don't like the prequels. That's wrong. I love the prequels, and I love the Clone Wars, and I love Rebels.
Yeah.
But basically, before I got into the Clone Wars, I thought he was dead. So when I saw him in Solo, I was like, wait, what? I thought he was dead. Wait, what? Wait, are you guys seeing this? And everyone was like, yeah, obviously he's alive. And I was like, oh, okay.
You're like, oh, I gotta watch
but-
Clone Wars.
Yeah, and then I watched it, and especially like his arc, it's so good, and especially with the Siege of Mandalore, it's just like it's so good. I don't know how to explain it, and he's so cool, and he's like so calculated sometimes. Well,
Yeah.
and also he's
Even though
so
he
afraid
takes L's all day.
of Emperor Palpatine. It makes me more afraid of Emperor Palpatine because Darth Maul is already kind of scary.
Yeah.
So for him to be afraid of the Emperor is even more scary.
Yeah,
And,
definitely.
Spoiler alert for Rebels, if you haven't seen it, I'm gonna say a spoiler right now. So if you don't want to hear that, pop out. And also one of my favorite deaths is Darth Maul's death. Like
Yeah.
he dies in Obi-Wan's arm. Like it's poetic.
Yeah, very.
Like it's poetic. So that's my number 3.
That's probably like the most poetic death in Star Wars. Like just the way that Obi-Wan is holding him in his arms, and it just shows how foolish Maul really is. He has always been overconfident, and it's always destroyed him. He never won a duel, so yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Anyways, let's move on to number 4.
Yeah, number 4. Right. So number 4, we just got done talking about him, Han Solo. He is for sure one of my favorite characters, always has been one of my favorite characters. I was so hyped when they said that they were doing a live action Solo movie, and it lived up to the hype for me. I don't know if you guys remember, but they had that Super Bowl TV spot for Solo, and it just had the big Star Destroyer, and it was just, and it was like a storm in the sky, and it was just like it was so dope. Like I like my hype for that movie. The marketing wasn't that great, but my personal hype, I was just like, let's go! Like we're finally like seeing more of Han Solo, and I loved how I love his relationship with Chewie. I think that's the best friendship in all of Star Wars. Every time those two are on screen together, never a dull moment. Just amazing. Just the banter between them, the love between them. Chewie witnessing Han's death in The Force Awakens, just heartbreaking. Just a great character. Well, another one of those characters where we just, we saw a full, complete, developed story, and that's why he is like. If you look at my favorite characters, they are very well developed from start to finish. And we've, these characters that I'm talking about, these are characters that we've seen more of. If I wanted to, base characters off of maybe potential and stuff, I guess it would be like a different story. But for me, I'm really banking off of who has had the best, most well-rounded three-dimensional stories, and Han Solo easily makes my top 5. And I think you guys might be interested by my number 5, but I'll pass this one on to Justin.
Yeah, my number 4, it's going to be Ahsoka. And this is a new thing. This is after the Siege of Mandalore. And again, Star Wars is a personal thing. I've made a tweet about it before. I won't get into it, but I love Ahsoka, and I love those last 4 episodes for personal reasons. But the Siege of Mandalore just elevated her character for me, and so did Rebels. I was never really a huge fan until Rebels, and then Siege of Mandalore just sort of put her over the top. I mean, her duel with Maul is in my top 5.
So good.
That is
so
good.
much, just great things that came from the last season of the Clone Wars.
Just the last few shots of the show. I mean, obviously before
it's
Vader,
just fantastic.
It's top tier Star Wars. Like her falling from the sky and then looking over all the clones' helmets and stuff. Just like it's so emotional, and really brought her out more in Rebels for me, especially that one arc.
Ooh. And it's also the little things. Just I'll finish up, and her white lightsabers are fantastic, and the ignition sounds great, and then also her new blue lightsabers, they also sound fantastic. So good. Yeah, Ahsoka number 4.
And also, I feel like with Ahsoka, like if you met her, like you just feel like you could trust her with anything. Like you feel like you could trust her with your life. Like I mean, and I think that's just one of the things that makes her a great character, because you can just trust her.
Yeah.
But enough said. My 4th favorite character is Kylo Ren, Ben Solo.
Woo.
Nice.
Yeah. Mostly because of The Force Awakens, because it was just also new, and he was like this villain, and then you find out that his grandfather is Darth Vader, and you find out his parents are Han Solo and Princess Leia, and you're just like, what? That's insane. But I mean, we spoke about Ben Solo before, and so, but that's my number 4 favorite character.
Nice. Yeah, we've talked quite a bit about Ben Solo. I'm not sure how much there is to say, but yeah, he is definitely one of the best characters. One of the best. So I guess let's get into the interesting stuff. Right? So this should be fun. I am very curious to see what you two have for number 5.
Yeah.
It could be.
Me too.
It could be interesting. I think mine took a lot of thought, and I actually last night I watched a couple things, and I was like, okay, I think this is it here.
I'm so curious right now. Say it. Spit it out.
Okay, so number 5. It's my favorite. It's my favorite female character in all of Star Wars, and it's Sabine Wren. Okay, she is my favorite.
Ooh.
She is my favorite Mandalorian character. I think that she is one of the most interesting characters. One of the most creative characters. The fact that she basically made the logo for the rebellion, and so much more. I think that she is just a really awesome character. Her episode Trials of the Darksaber it's one of my favorite TV episodes ever. It's just like it's top tier Star Wars for me because
Yeah.
you're taking this girl that had no choice but to create weapons that destroyed her own kind. She was forced into doing it, and she basically hated herself for it, and she thought that she would never be good enough or powerful enough or anything enough, and for her to overcome that and go through all that training with my favorite Rebels character Kanan Jarrus, I really just love that episode, and she honestly has my favorite character theme song in all of Star Wars. Sabine Wren's theme is my favorite character theme song. Even over Imperial March, over a lot of it was actually Kylo's theme was pretty much number one for me for a while.
Yeah.
But Sabine Wren's theme is just so beautiful. I can listen to it all day. It's amazing. So yeah, that's number 5 for me. I watched a couple episodes last night. It was really between her, Maul, or Obi-Wan. That's what I came down to for my top 3. And I was really close to saying Maul, but I think that Sabine is definitely more of a creative character, and I think that's what makes me love her so much. But yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, it's nice. I like the Rebels love in your list.
Pick.
Yes, I love Rebels so much.
That's great. All right, my number 5 is recently changed this morning. Okay.
Oh.
And it's gonna round out the Solo family in my top 5, and it's gonna be Leia.
Nice.
Oh.
And again, this is a new love I have for Leia. Kind of realizing her role within Rey's story, kind of serving as the mentor of the trilogy. Because I was reading my Rise of Skywalker art book again the other day, and there's a great quote from Dave Filoni about like back in 2014 when they were first sort of workshopping the trilogy, and it's that sort of Leia was going to become this mentor figure to Rey rather than Luke, and that's something that I just love. So Leia's going to make it number 5.
Awesome. I love that pick.
That's hard to follow up on, but I am a very indecisive person, and for number 5, I have 3 picks because I simply cannot choose. I'm stuck. I'm torn. So bear with me. Well, basically, I have Hera from Rebels, Hera Syndulla, at number 5.
Okay.
Just because
I like it.
I feel like she's so underrated, and she brings like the Ghost crew together so well. Like she's like the mom of the group, but also like what I said with Ahsoka. Like if you met her in real life, you feel like you could trust her with anything.
Oh,
you know,
100%.
and that's just
Yeah.
it's very comforting to see on the screen when we're so invested in this Star Wars universe where so much action happens all the time and death and
Yeah.
it's just nice to see a character who's so comforting. And tying against that is Kanan, because
Awesome.
exactly what Trevor said, he's just one of the best. He's just amazing. And number 3, is obviously Darth Vader, because he's just so iconic, so I could not mention him. So I'm stuck between those 3 for my number 5.
That's understandable, especially because I mean you have Kanan and Hera, where they almost come like a package deal when you think about it, because they really support each other's characters so well. Because it's kind of like what is Din Djarin without Baby Yoda? What is Ezra Bridger without Kanan Jarrus? What is what is
What
Ahsoka
is
without
General Grievous
Anakin?
without his lightsabers?
Right. Yeah.
Free
Yeah.
name joke.
Yeah. Hello there.
I'm
Yeah.
hilarious.
uh, yeah, but yeah, it's one of those package deals where they just really make up for each other's characters, and that's why I love Justin's fifth pick, rounding out the Solo family, because it's like, everyone talks about like the Skywalker family, but it's like the Solo family is just just as good, just as interesting, just as lovable. Yeah. Obviously Leia is a Skywalker, but like,
Right.
it's
No,
like, it's interesting.
You can have more than one name.
Yeah.
And I would just say just some honorable mentions for me, or my 6, 7,
Do it.
my 6, 7, 8. The order changes all the time, but I'll just throw some out there. Din Djarin is on there for sure. I love him.
Yeah.
Luke's on there. Captain Rex is on there.
I
And
love
Luke.
Rex.
And then I guess we have to put Anakin in there. I guess.
Yo, calm down. Well,
I guess.
Okay. Here's the thing. I understand where people are coming from with Anakin. I get that. I think a lot of it has to do with the Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. And also, the thing is, I feel like without the Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, I think he would be a little bit more, beloved, I guess. But the thing is, like, I feel like the Clone Wars does a lot of things right that
For sure.
that Attack of the Clones didn't necessarily do for me with Anakin's character. And obviously, the Phantom Menace, I don't know if we really even talk about Anakin's character there. The dude was like 6 and he was flying starships and blowing people up. It was like, oh, okay.
Gary still.
Yeah, so but the thing with me for Anakin is that I think that he is he wasn't the first person to ever have a redemption story, but I think that he was the first fictional character to ever perfect the redemption story. Evil turns good, and a lot of that has to do with family. Just saving his son's life, and I think that's what really elevates Luke Skywalker's character in Return of the Jedi, and I think that's why Return of the Jedi is such a good movie, is because of that aspect right there. And obviously his fall to the dark side, for me, is actually even more interesting. I don't think it's as well executed, but I think that just the sequences between Order 66 and Anakin versus Obi-Wan, it's just a very interesting storyline and very emotional, very sad. It's the most sad story that we have in Star Wars. It's just it's heartbreaking.
Agreed.
It's just crazy how manipulative Palpatine is, and it really shows. So yeah, that's why Anakin is up there so high for me, because he's so iconic. Like, you just hear Darth Vader's breathing. If you've never seen a Star Wars movie before, you know that it's Darth Vader. You know Darth Vader's theme song if you've never seen Star Wars before, because he is just so iconic. He is like the villain of villains. Like, if you were to make a movie poster or make a movie with just villains, and you have all these movie villains on the list, Vader's helmet is going to be big and center on it, because he is just the villain. He will scare the hell out of any villain, in my opinion. Even Palpatine.
That could be a topic for another day.
Even Palpatine.
I just want to add, so people don't come for me. When I said Anakin is a Gary Stu, I was kidding.
Oh yeah.
So please know that.
Yeah.
Because I'm seeing in the chat right now, and I was kidding. 100% kidding. Please don't come for me.
Yeah, and thanks chat for being active. But you guys be sure to ask questions that you have, because I guess I guess we'll transition over and start answering some of those. I'm sure you guys have a ton of questions about, you know, our opinions on certain things, certain characters, some rumors that we have. And I just want to give a shout out to Corey and Noah at Kessel Run Transmissions. They're always giving us stuff to talk about. It's really fun. So thank you guys. You guys are awesome. So I guess we'll start off with this. Ryan Bullock asks, do you think we will get any live action content related to the High Republic? So this is a great question, especially because I totally forgot, but we got that Yoda concept the other day.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, actually we can talk a little bit about that too. I think we had some pretty fun tweets about that. Me specifically.
We did.
Oh no.
I loved that concept art that we saw for Yoda, and it's like, wow, like, you know, it's a cool take on him. You know, just obviously he looks a little younger in the prequels, but he's still not like, he's not prime time Yoda. Like he's about to go into exile on Dagobah, and you know, Dagobah clearly messed him up a little bit. But he looked great. He looked sweet. Like he looked like he was just about to dominate any duel he participated in. So I would love to see any High Republic live action content. I think I'm very much looking forward to the source material that we get. I will definitely be reading a lot of that, and yeah, like lots of potential there. Creating a new era is great, but it's not too far away from you know, the Skywalker saga that we all know and love. So yeah, I think we will. I don't know how soon it'll be. I think within the next decade, but probably towards the end. What do you guys think, though?
That would be dope.
Yeah, I think definitely some time before kind of launching the next big saga.
Yeah.
And having Yoda there, you know, brings the familiarity and the connections that people are going to be looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but for now, I'm just going to be excited about the books.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully the source material is great. And I'm sure it will be. I mean, from what we've seen and from what we've heard, I'm down. I love it. It sounds great. And then they can totally adapt. They can totally adapt to live action. That's probably even easier than writing new material.
Yeah, just use a puppet. It's not easy, you know. But I also think it would be interesting because we don't know anything about Yoda. Like, nothing. The only thing we've seen is from the prequels, the original trilogy, and the sequel. I mean, that's all we've gotten so far. But,
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't have his backstory. Where does he come from? Where does the child come from?
Yeah,
so I think that would be interesting to see, and also him at his prime. So I think that would be interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of life to cover from Yoda.
Yeah, definitely. And we got to find out what his species is. Like, we don't even know the name of their species.
Yeah.
I think that's
Exactly.
kind of interesting.
Yeah.
All right, so we can move on to the next question, which is going to be from Jordan, our friend Jordan over at Media 13.
Woo!
He's asking, what was the moment where you realized that your favorite character was your favorite character? Was it a scene or a line of dialogue? What started your love for them? So this was easy for me, okay? And I'm going to put out, this is a fantastic question. I'm putting out a tweet as we speak, okay? I literally just pressed tweet. And it's the moment in The Force Awakens, okay, where Snoke says, the droid you seek is aboard the Millennium Falcon in the hands of your father, Han Solo. Because, you know, going into The Force Awakens, you know, Kylo Ren was just this cool looking character, right? Cool helmet. He's like a new Vader. He's got the awesome lightsaber. From that alone, he was going to be in my top characters. And then, boom, Snoke just reveals it out of nowhere. Your dad is Han Solo. And again, for the reasons I stated earlier, how much I love Han Solo, this moment was just
Yeah.
fantastic for me. I mean, I looked to my left, I was sitting next to my dad. It was just like, what is happening? Han Solo's son is the big villain. It was just such a great moment in the Force Awakens theater. So yeah,
good.
that's definitely my favorite line that, made Kylo my favorite character.
Yeah. No, that's
a great
understandable.
pick.
That's understandable. I think with Kylo, it's funny because like kind of solidified him as one of my favorite characters as soon as we heard his theme song at the beginning. It was like
Yeah.
dun 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 dun. Like as soon as I heard it, I was like, oh
So
my
good.
God, are you serious, John Williams? Pop off.
I know.
So good. But yeah, that's a great question, Jordan. For me, I would probably the thing is like Anakin has a lot of good moments, and the thing is I want to say that what solidified him as my favorite character, although my favorite storyline of Anakin Skywalker comes from Revenge of the Sith. I kind of want to say that his death in Return of the Jedi is what solidified his favorite character, or solidified him as my favorite character, because I watched the prequels before I watched the original trilogy.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah,
Interesting. I did not know that.
yeah, and it was like from what I remember, that's how I watched it. I was really young when I watched all the Star Wars movies, but when I was like 5 or 6 or whatever, I know for a fact that Revenge of the Sith was the first Star Wars movie I watched, kind of out of order. I know I didn't understand what was going on, but I was 5, so I didn't know what was going on anyways. But then I saw the flashy lightsaber duel, and I was like, oh, this is a masterpiece, underrated masterpiece. And and then
5 years old, sitting in front of the TV. This is an underrated masterpiece.
He's already getting the screenshots in his head.
like, wow, I'm gonna post a banger on Twitter one day. So yeah, but I remember it was just so sad, watching him die, and he was always my favorite character to play in Lego Star Wars too. But yeah, his death was like the moment I was like, wow, like what a story, and watching it now, I would probably say like my favorite moment from Anakin is different, but maybe like the first time was probably his death.
Yeah.
That's a good pick.
That's a good pick. For me, for Rey, it's honestly kind of tough, but I would honestly just say her whole introduction scene,
So
because it's
good.
just she doesn't say a single word like throughout until we see her like release BB-8, but like what 10 minutes without her saying a word, and you just see her. She's a scavenger. She's alone. She's lonely. She's a little bit sad. She does the same thing every single day. And if you've read the Force Awakens novelization, you'll see that she's always same old. It's always the same thing every single day, and Unkar Plutt is just really mean to her and all that stuff. So, but from everything we see in the introduction, we can already see that she's kind and that she's just someone who just wants a better life. So I think that's definitely, and also because for the reason I listed as to why she's my favorite character, because when I saw The Force Awakens for the first time and I saw her whole scene, I was just captivated. I was mesmerized. And not to mention her theme, top
good.
tier Star
So
Wars
good.
music. It's just, I mean, even if you hate Rey, I mean, some part of you can, I mean, I'm not saying this is a fact, this is my opinion, but I mean, her theme is just so good.
It's great. I love how similar it is to the Beauty and the Beast theme, which is very interesting, right? Because it's I know, because it's like, like the Beast is like the bad guy, and then she ends up getting with the bad guy, and it's like, huh, interesting. John Williams.
Yeah.
Interesting. I always
Well-
wonder.
Good.
I always wonder if that. I don't know. I always wonder because there's no way that John Williams made that theme without considering that, and you could say that maybe he wanted to relate her to Belle, because Belle is a very similar character to Rey. So I always thought that was kind of cool, like the Disney fan that I am.
Yeah,
I
Disney
love that
chill
theme.
over here.
I'm a hardcore Disney show. I'm wearing a Disneyland sweatshirt right now. So
As you should. I think things on that scale of similarity don't tend to be by accident.
I know
Yeah.
because it's like
Well-
so similar, and like I mean, they're very smart. Like, they know what they're doing. So I think that I think that John Williams I think he kind of intended that, and if it had to do with Reylo, that would be very interesting. I don't know. It would be very I mean, that's just such a John Williams thing to do, but I don't know. Yeah.
Anyways,
So yeah, those
Next question.
are great moments. Great moments.
next question is from Anish, and it is, what's your favorite line from your favorite Star Wars, I'm assuming, movie, and why? So,
Good question.
go ahead.
Ooh.
I've got
Okay.
my
Well-
answer right now.
Say it.
Go.
All right. Now, I've been clowned for this before, okay, but I'm going to say it anyway. Yeah, okay, it obviously it's not the best line in Star Wars or
Yeah.
anything like that, okay? But when Kylo is talking to Larsen in The Force Awakens, and Larsen says, "You cannot deny the truth that is your family," and then Kylo says, "You're so right."
Woo.
I love those lines because
Chills.
there's just so much to unpack there about the way Kylo thinks, how much he hates the Solo side of his family, and how much he kind of leans into the Darth Vader side. And that, again, right there, those two lines just shows you so much you need to know about the Kylo character. And I think a lot of people might just dismiss it as, surface level whatever, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I love those two lines.
I can totally understand that. I mean, that is like that is definitely a moment that really pulled me in immediately to The Force Awakens. That was like definitely that was definitely a moment that showed what kind of character Kylo is gonna be like, and yeah, I love
Yeah,
that moment,
exactly.
and the music and everything, and the sound design, and there's a lot that goes into that specific moment that makes it so great. So yeah, that's great. So obviously you guys know that Revenge of the Sith is my favorite Star Wars movie. Okay. Well, actually, I want to say something. I saw Empire in theaters 2 weeks ago, and I walked out and I was like, "Is this my favorite movie of all time?"
It should be.
I was like, "Huh." It's so good. It's just from the beginning frame to the end, perfection all the way through. But
Masterpiece.
I still give Revenge of the Sith the edge. And I don't know why. I just love it so much. But so my favorite line from Revenge of the Sith, it would okay. I'll give a couple, but I'll say my number one, and that's "You were my brother, Anakin. I loved you." It's probably for me, it might be the most well delivered line in all of Star Wars, and it's just so emotional. Like just everything leading up to that, and just that whole exchange of dialogue, and Anakin's literally just there burning on the ground, and they're just like best friends that just fought to the death, like, and
Yeah.
it's so emotional, and that line just absolutely it absolutely breaks me every time. It's very emotional, but I have to give it to, I have to give an honorable mention to henceforth you shall be known as Darth Vader. That's another
That's a
that's another one of the best delivered lines in Star Wars by Ian McDiarmid.
yeah.
It just gives you the chills. And say what you want about Hayden Christensen in that scene, but Ian, it's just like wow. And Ian has a lot of well delivered lines in that movie, especially with his Darth Plagueis speech and everything. But that one right there is just like, just how he slowly says Darth Vader. Just great honorable mention, but I would have to say Obi-Wan's line. It's just like wow, so emotional.
That's those are some good picks. Like, yeah. For me, I also have two from The Force Awakens that I really love. Number one would be when Kylo Ren is talking to Darth Vader's helmet, and he's like, "I feel it again, the pull to the light." It just immediately
good.
shows you how conflicted he is. Like, it just by that one line.
Yeah.
And the second one I would say is when Rey is like when she says, "I didn't know there was this much green in the whole galaxy," and it's just it just shows you that she spent her entire life on a desert planet with just sand and nothing else, and then she comes to this place and she's just overwhelmed by how beautiful the other planets are and how much nature there actually is other than just a barren desert. Not that there's anything wrong with the desert, but
Yeah.
I mean, kind of boring on Jakku. So those are my top two.
Yeah.
That's a great
Couldn't
pick.
decide.
Those are great. Well, I'm actually okay. So you guys, your favorite Star Wars movie is The Force Awakens, and I'm actually surprised you didn't mention my favorite line, which is, I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it. That
It's good.
that is
It's really good.
That's so good.
that is my favorite. That is my favorite moment in the Force Awakens in its entirety. Han Solo's death, and the Rise of Skywalker only solidified that. It made it much more emotional watching The Force Awakens after The Rise of Skywalker. Watching that scene is just like it's even more heart wrenching because it's just come on, it's just so well delivered, but it's also so well done in that scene. Like it was the perfect line to use. So yeah, that. I was surprised. I was like, maybe like they'll give an honorable mention to this one, but I'm sure you guys would. But
Oh yeah, I mean, the entire movie, The Force Awakens, like you can just give me any sentence and I'll love it. So it's just everything in that movie is just perfection.
And there's a lot of lines that have, a lot of payoff in the later two movies.
Yeah.
Whether it's like, what girl or you're the girl I've heard so much about.
Yep.
What girl?
And there's a bunch. And again, what you just said had a lot of payoff in The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
Force Awakens is just so good.
It's great. And I believe that The Rise of Skywalker really was a great ending to the Force Awakens storyline. I did. I mean, I don't want to get too deep into it, but I think that it paid a lot of respects to The Force Awakens, and that's why I do feel like JJ did have a really good idea of where he wanted to go. And yeah,
But that's a whole other thing.
yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's a whole nother
Yeah.
day.
JJ
Yeah.
Abrams, he knows Rey and he knows Ben. He really does. So I was glad to see that that line done in The Rise of Skywalker. But anyways, we'll move on to another question. And Draco asks, what is the best character from each trilogy? Very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll give my three, and then we'll kind of go around. So I would have to say number one. It's gonna be tough because it's like you have Anakin that had such a good story in Revenge of the Sith, but I can't necessarily say the same about the first two movies, but I can say that about Obi-Wan. I can say that Obi-Wan had a good story in every movie, and his growth at becoming this Jedi Master and stuff, played perfectly by Ewan McGregor. I would probably have to go with Obi-Wan, even though Anakin is my favorite Star Wars character. I just think that Obi-Wan was more consistently good, and he's the reason why I enjoy The Phantom Menace. He's the reason why I enjoy Attack of the Clones, and he's one of the many reasons why I love Revenge of the Sith. So yeah, I would go with Obi-Wan, and then the original trilogy, Darth Vader for me, and then the sequel trilogy would be Ben Solo.
Dub.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going off movies alone and not necessarily like eras or like
yeah.
chunks of time, I would be Ahsoka for the prequel, era, but
Right.
movies alone it'll be
Yeah,
Obi-Wan.
same.
Yeah.
Just because. The original trilogy, it's got to be Han,
Yeah.
and then sequels is Ben.
Oh, no way.
Shocker,
You're
big shocker.
kidding.
How about
For
you?
me, the prequel trilogy, I think it's also got to be Obi-Wan because I mean, he's just great in all three movies. He's just consistent. He's just good.
Yeah.
You would trust him.
Yeah, definitely.
And for the original trilogy, I'm honestly stuck between Darth Vader and Leia because some days I'll just love Leia, some days it'll be Darth Vader. So they always change.
Yeah.
And for the sequel trilogy, better believe it, it's Rey Skywalker.
Yeah, no,
In
there's
case you didn't know.
yeah, no, definitely. I mean, we're all pretty similar there. Pretty
Yeah.
similar. I mean, an honorable mention for the prequels would be Palpatine. Ian McDermott plays him very well. He has very awesome costume design. I feel like we don't talk about that enough. And yeah, and he's just he's so important to the story. He is a great character in the
He's just
prequels.
a good guy.
I don't know about that.
I mean, I guess from a certain point of view.
Oh God, no. Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, like that whole scene, him giving his Darth Plagueis spiel, is like some of the best Star Wars content we've seen in live action. Just so good. Ian McDermott was perfect casting for Palpatine, just like Ewan McGregor was perfect casting for Obi-Wan. I can't say the same about Hayden Christensen, but yeah, I can't. I can't. But his performance in Revenge of the Sith, personally, I believe is flawless. I just wish it was half as good in Attack of the Clones, like even with what he was given,
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah,
That's a whole other day.
I know, so much to talk about.
And that's why we have this show.
All right, go for it, Justin. You got a question?
Yeah, if we're going for another one, we can do another question here.
No, let's do it.
This one is from Alexis, and it's: is there too much going on in The Mandalorian season 2? This is a fitting question because we're on the heels of a trailer, hopefully, and I kind of call it like the Spider-Man 3 effect, where if a piece of content has too much going on, it can kind of just suffer the fate of just having too much going on.
Right.
It's just too crowded, too many characters, too many storylines. But I trust Dave Filoni and I trust Jon Favreau to have crafted a story, and I don't think Ahsoka and Rex and and the Rebels characters, they're like Dave's children, right? So I don't think Dave is gonna bring them in and not know what to do with them.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Just have faith in Dave Filoni.
That's exactly my stance on it. But I will say this, okay? To be fair, okay, so like, you asked if there's too much going on. We don't actually know how much is going on.
Yeah.
Like to be fair, like it sounds like there's a lot, but the thing is, from what we've heard, it's really only gonna come down to maybe a couple episodes. It's still The Mandalorian. This isn't the Rebel sequel series. Like this is The Mandalorian, and Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, they know that. Dave Filoni is a mastermind, and I absolutely trust him with any project he's on, unless he's directing something that's live action. Yikes. He's really great storyteller. He knows how to plan from beginning to end, and I don't think it'll be too convoluted like some people I guess are anticipating it to be, because we've heard a decent amount of rumors. I think it'll be great though. I think that that's kind of what they're amping it up to be a little bit, and I think it'll be done right. At least I'm hoping it'll be done right. But
you also got to remember that lots of people who watch The Mandalorian have not watched the Clone Wars or Rebels. Lots of people are just casual fans. Like,
yep.
Lots of adults, like they don't watch the animation shows. So obviously they're not going to spend the entirety of the show focusing on these characters that that other Star Wars fans know, because then they're going to lose viewers. And you also got to remember that Disney wants to make money. And in order to make money, they got to make a lot of content. So they're not going to, they're obvious, what I'm trying to say is that because they know that so many people want a Rebels sequel, they're going to make a Rebels sequel probably sometime in the future. And that's when Ahsoka is going to come in more. So I think that's just, but I agree with what you guys say, but I think it's also just important to remember that. So yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, there were also like Boba Fett rumors, someone stole his armor. I mean, there is a lot going on. You just have to kind of trust that they know.
I mean, we don't even have a trailer yet, not even a teaser. I mean, it's just give us something.
I am thinking that this season's going to be even better. I think that we're going to get.
Here's hoping.
I think we're gonna get more out of Din Djarin's character, because I felt he was, in my opinion, I felt that he was a little bit one-dimensional in the first season, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because it was just the first season, and I just felt like the reason why he was so awesome was because, one, I mean, he's a badass, and two, he
well, I mean, he did it kind of hot.
Two, his connection with his surrounding characters is like what really makes him, and that's kind of one of the problems that I have with Luke that we'll get into sometime other than today, maybe. I think that there's some characters that rely too much on their surrounding characters to make them a good character, and I think that Din Djarin personally was like that. in the first season for me, but I think the second season will get a better fleshed out version of this character. So yeah, but yeah, we went a little overboard today. You know, we're supposed to be doing like 1 hour episodes, and here we are. We're like 20 minutes overtime, but I'm just like so buzzed because I mean we missed the last 2 weekends, and how can we? I mean, how can we not mention rest in peace Chadwick Boseman? That is a death that has hit me harder than so many. I just was in absolute shock. Just one of the hardest things to read ever. Just instantly in tears and instantly just, you know, from 42 to Black Panther, just such a talented person and genuine person, and I'm still in shock to this day. I don't feel like it's real. This
Same.
Year's just been a whirlwind, and I know it'll get better. You know, we got some stuff to look forward to, and hopefully 2021 you know, brings us you know, more good news, I guess.
But to end it off on a good note, I just want to say thanks for all the support. You guys are all amazing, and I also just want to add that if you haven't seen yet, that the hashtag All Star Wars is good has now been changed from that to hashtag Galaxy United, because it was just people misunderstood it way too much, and it was just drama every day. So it's been changed to a Galaxy United. But if you still want to use All Star Wars is good, then do that. Go for it. No one's stopping you. Just wanted to add that before we go.
Yeah, that was a decision that was pretty hard for me to make, because as you guys know, like this has been a passion project of mine for a while now. And basically I just tweeted hashtag All Star Wars is good one day for fun, and people started using it, and then I was like, wow, like, you know, this is great. Like, you know, I felt a lot of positivity radiating around it, and it was fun really talking with people that thoroughly enjoy. Like, I still believe that All Star Wars is good, personally. I think that from The Phantom Menace to The Rise of Skywalker is good. I think that each show is good. I think that all Star Wars media is overall good because it's Star Wars. But the thing is, it gets misinterpreted, and I understand. It's very understandable. It gets misused by some people, and overall, that's just not what we want, and what we want to represent. What we want to do is, you know, this fandom will never be completely united. We understand that, but we want to do our best to, you know, just have fun conversations about Star Wars again. It doesn't have to be heated. We disagreed a lot in this episode without completely bashing each other. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's for sure. That's what we need in this fandom, and that's kind of what, you know, that's just what our goal is, and we want a Galaxy United. So yeah, thank you guys for the support. Justin, did you want to say anything?
You guys.
Just, it's been fun, and it's gonna be fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
This is where the fun begins.
This is where the fun begins. So yeah, thank you guys for all your support. That'll do it for today's episode. Thank you for everyone that has joined us live on YouTube. Our next episode will be live at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time next Saturday. Hope to see you there.
It's a trap.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Your eyes can deceive you. Don't trust them.
The Force will be with you. Always.